by the way.
I need to delete the one about blood type. I don't think we should.
I don't think I know.
Well.
But speaking of blood type, hi.
Hey!
And, welcome to Stinky Gamer Pleasure Dome, a brand new podcast with me and John.
I'm John.
This is not John from Blank Bodies who feels in this show. It's also not John from Confession Cam. This is, in fact, the third John that I've had a podcast with.
For Blank Bodies listeners, there is, I believe it's like one of the first 2 episodes, there is mention of a guy that menaced some of the Blank Bodies hosts with a rocket launcher. It was not a rocket launcher. It was an empty tube. I can't afford a rocket launcher. However, with your Patreon support...
Yeah, we could have all kinds of stuff. But before we get into all that,
right.
What is this show? It's a new podcast. It's kind of like a book club for illiterate gamers because we're playing games and not reading any books. And I just realized now that I misspelled the word illiterate and club when I was typing this. It sounds so
games
pretty
have
on point.
Text.
One
of the games we are covering pretty soon has quite a lot of text. You will have to learn to read for that.
Are we reading, what are they called? Like erotic interactive novels?
I think
the anime games.
If you spend like one night on F-List, a week on F-List, I think that will bring you up to literacy standards needed to play both games, really.
Okay, so at the age of 30, I'm going to learn to read from F-List. Got it. That's my prep for this show. Anyway, so yeah, this is our new podcast. We're going to be playing a different game every 2 weeks. Basically, we have too many games in our Steam libraries and a playlist, so we decided to make a podcast to actually play them and hold ourselves to actually doing that.
I'm not touching the Humble Bundle shit, though.
Oh, anything that's in our library is fair game, or anything that's cheap.
Okay.
I was looking at my Steam library the other day. Actually, your brother was like, it's crazy how many games you have in your library. And I was like, I don't have that many games in my Oh, it's like 1,000 something.
Oh.
I can't actually, it won't show you a number.
See, my number is not as impressive, but I have a much more impressive number for most played game. So we'll. Oh.
That's one of the questions.
Sorry, listeners, that was a spoiler.
Oh yeah, I have 672. Not as many as I thought, but I've had this account since I was in like high school. So, but yeah, we also want you guys to play along with us. That's why we're gonna cover random older games and console games if they're emulatable. Should only emulate them if you own them, of course. But we want participation to be easy and accessible. We're also going to have a Discord channel over in the Blank Bodies server. We might eventually make our own server for this show, but we're going to start it off simple. So yeah, it's going to be bi-weekly, so you have 2 weeks to play the first 2 hours of a game. So all you have to do is find an hour a week to keep up with what we're doing.
And I think, honestly, like, what... So this is off script, but as far as demographics of the Blank Bodies listeners we're inheriting, these are mostly like working age adults. Yeah.
Oh yeah. I everyone is welcome to listen and play games, but the server is 18 plus. So.
And I think that is also like, I'm not bullshitting. I think that's actually an interesting perspective of like, most people don't have time to play through these older games beyond a quick impression, a vertical slice of a game. So that is what we're focusing on. Now, the first 2 games, each of us are very passionate about, so we've played a bit more than 2 hours, but we're going to try and limit it to what is immediately accessible. Yeah. What you would play if you just decided to sit down for a weekend and just do that.
Yeah, also, it makes it so we'll avoid a lot of spoilers. If it's a game that even has, like, a noticeable amount of plot. So I know some won't, but... I'm also going to be filming my first 2 gameplay hours. So if you're watching this on YouTube, you'll be able to actually see footage of the game while we're talking about it. I'm not going to edit it a lot. I'm going to keep it like my first 2 hours. So
I'm still trying to set up my burner laptop, and I've never been good with OBS, but Hey, we'll figure something out.
Yeah, as the show grows, we can do more stuff like that. But if you're watching this on YouTube right now, you're seeing footage from the game Post Void. I think it's just a cool looking game. It fits the chaotic vibe that I think we're going to be bringing. And also, it's a game that I don't think we could immediately do a whole episode on. There's not half hour to 45 minutes worth of discussion to be had about it. It's a good game, but we would have to lump it in with others. We'll probably do compilation episodes eventually. And I do love that game, but yeah. So that's what you're seeing in the background. If it's a little bit of a overstim, sorry about that. That is possible with Post Void, I will say. But
we can do a version that's just Stardew Valley gameplay.
Oh, there you go. I've never played Stardew Valley, so that could be an episode if one of us picks it.
I don't either. I've not really played more than like 2 minutes of it. It seems like a game that would pair with Project Zomboid, and I don't really know why. It's just something I feel in my bones.
Yeah, I feel like, I mean, I guess they both could be argued as farming sims. So little bit of what we're doing.
I mean, but by that same, that's like Zomboid is as much a farming sim as it is a drunk driving sim.
That's true.
Can you drunk drive in Stardew Valley?
If you can, we'll figure out how.
I hope so.
You can. So we're 2 episodes a month. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna pick themes for each month, and then we'll each pick one game that fits that theme and do an episode and a play along with you guys with it. So to start off, we picked 2 of our favorite games. And we both picked Boomer Shooter. So it is also a Boomer Shooter month, but it's also a favorite games month. So that's what we're going to be starting about. We'll announce our first game at the end of the episode, but that's kind of where we landed. But we figured for this first episode, we want to make an early episode just to kind of introduce the show, get it out there, and give you guys the 2 weeks to play the first game with us. So we're not just dropping it and you're playing catch up immediately. So we figured I wrote some questions out, some discussion, get to know us a little bit better, learn more about the man behind the gamer, and then keep this one.
The scent behind the stink.
Exactly. Who's in charge of this pleasure dome? So first one's real easy. What are some of our favorite games?
Well, I'm a huge Half-Life fan. I've got Steam open. I enjoy really, like, I mentioned Project Zomboid already. I love that game to death. That is a really frustrating game to be my comfort game, but that is my comfort game. I will bring up another one later because it relates to one of our questions. I do like MSims, and I never finish them. But Deus Ex is one of my favorite games. All of the, like, Gloomwood, Peripetia, that's all that's coming to mind for me right now with MSims.
That's fair.
Thief likes, Deus Ex likes. I do really enjoy those. They are such big games, I don't finish them. You know, I loved Death Stranding was another one I loved. Never, ever have finished it just because it is so daunting. So really leaning into the first 2 hours theme of this.
Yeah. It does take a strong game to get me to play all the way through it anymore. But I really go for, like, story heavy games, I think, and say, like, I love Alan Wake in the entire Remedy universe. So, like, Control, Max Payne, those games. I got into Max Payne in high school, and then coming back to play Alan Wake, then being like, wait a minute, is this related to Max Payne? And then they all just kind of keep tying in more and more together. It's been really cool to see.
Max Payne was like my guy who has only seen the Cube moment where, you know, years later in high school, I finally see people playing Max Payne. I'm like, wow, this is a ripoff of Enter the Matrix.
I also really like Metal Gear Solid, another very and related Death Stranding, but super story heavy. Like there's like a full movie in the middle of some of those.
I'm reading off my list. Like I don't have that in the chamber whenever someone asks me that question, but I would say I like Metal Gear Solid more than Death Stranding, 100%.
Yeah, I've not played the remasters, so maybe we'll get around to those.
The Twin Snakes maybe would be a good one.
Oh yeah, the GameCube one, right?
Yeah.
That, I know that one's got some differences. I was a huge TF2 player. I've kind of kept up with hero shooters, but I've fallen off them more and more as time goes. They've become that game I play when my friends from college who still play them hit me up.
Yeah.
And otherwise, I don't really play them as much as I used to. Yeah, I also really like platformers, like Crash Bandicoot.
That's probably where I differ with you the most. Is I can never really get into platformers. I mean, I like Half-Life, and that's going to be my shit take of the day. We have a sound effect that we don't have set up for shit takes, but you'll be hearing that a lot. But Half-Life is a platformer. Portal definitely is a platformer. I like those. So maybe first-person platformers.
Maybe, yeah.
Because you get more control. Like, I like Ultra Kill. That's definitely got platform.
That's
elements.
like you like platformers with shooter elements. I will say, like, all the Valve games are great. Like, I also love Portal.
Mm-hmm.
Love Half-Life 2. I've not played 1 as much. I've struggled getting into 1, but
I almost want to suggest that, but I don't know what we could say for Half-Life that no one said already.
Yeah, we can come back. There's a lot of games we can come back to eventually too.
Mm-hmm.
So next question I got here: what was our first game console? What was the first console you had?
I'm gonna hear yours first.
So if it counts, Game Boy.
Yeah, that's also what I was gonna say.
I got it for Christmas with Pokemon.
I had a red Game Boy Pocket, and the first game, because we were all allowed to pick out a game, and when I should have picked Kirby, I picked this strange game called Go Tank, and it's very arcane.
I've never heard of Go Tank.
Yeah, you control a plane, by the way, not a tank. Very bizarre game, but it was what I had, so I have fond memories of it, but it is objectively a not good game.
Weird. It was developed by Toei Animation.
I remember it having, now that I think about it, that kind of visual style, or as best you could on that kind of display.
I didn't know they made games.
Yeah.
If we do portable games or something for a month, Game Boy games or something, we might have to try Go Tank. I'm intrigued by it now. After that, I got a Super Nintendo, and that's the one I got weird games for.
Yeah, I got honestly, I think we got a PlayStation first. We got a PlayStation with like bottom of the $5 barrel games and Tomb Raider 4: The Last Revelation.
Hell yeah.
I think that one was for Dad. That is a very 90s dad game.
Yeah.
Right up there with, Deer Hunter games.
Yeah, it was the same Christmas. My grandparents bought me a Super Nintendo and my dad a PlayStation 1. It was like right in that time period where you could still get those two new. Yeah. It's like the last year or two of the Super Nintendo.
They were really trying to curb the dad market back then.
Yeah.
Or maybe even more than now. No. There's Call of Duty. Oldest first, maybe Genesis. I thought we had the Genesis after, because it was a real cheap thing and we had trouble finding games for it, but we could, without having to go to a game store. We could still find them at Toys R Us, but they were like uncommon. It was well past the Genesis lifetime. And that was, I think, a better, like, more well-rounded thing, because when you get a Genesis in like 1999 or 2001 or whenever it was, what you have available are like Street Fighter 2, Jurassic Park, all of it, like
the bigger titles.
Like, was it Aladdin or Lion King? Like all of those like things that people remember fondly already, and you get kind of a sampler plate of that. And obviously Sonic. What am I saying? Yeah.
Genesis
does what Nintendo don't.
It does. It also would be a fun one to do. I actually never had a Genesis. I didn't really know anyone that had a Genesis. I didn't get one till recently, because you can get cheap flash carts for them now. So I was like, I want to go back and play through a bunch of games. Yeah. So I do have a flash cart for that. So I might do some actual original console recording for that. That could be fun. I mean, those games are super emulatable too, so anyone could play along. Let's see. What's the next question?
You just have to go on eBay and legally purchase a copy of Outrun.
Exactly.
Not Outrun. What's the Mad Max one?
Oh.
We'll figure it out by the time we're on the next episode.
Yeah, we got time. So you suggested this question, so I'm going to have you answer first.
Oh, boy.
What is your dream fusion game?
Oh.
And then you said in parentheses, X meets Y.
Yeah, like just a genre fusion, I guess. So like the answer I had in mind is Far Cry meets Deus Ex. Let me start over. Far Cry 2 specifically meets Deus Ex. I don't like the newer Far Cries. For the same reason I have gripes about Far Cry 2, there's so much driving and it's so weighted towards driving, but I do really love driving in games that aren't racing games, driving games, if they make the journey interesting and fun.
Would you include like Halo in that? Like the driving sections in
Oh,
Halo or
absolutely.
Half-Life?
Absolutely, yeah. Because that is just a treat.
Those are the two games that specifically pop in mind. It's
Right.
like the Warthog sections in Halo, and then the weird like buggy in Half-Life 2.
And the airboat too.
The airboat.
Yeah.
Some of those get a little more frustrating in the airboat than the buggy, but
Yeah, I've heard mixed opinions on both. It's like you like one or the other, but yeah, that meets like your classic like IMSIN, like Deus Ex, like or Deep State or something, where you, and what I mean by that is like you have these hubs where there would be like a hub that you would have in Deus Ex. Where
and then
you have like a section of a city and a section of a city, and then everything out of those bounds is like those more open driving areas where you have these interesting random encounters. There's reasons for you to go out there. There's like, far off areas. No fucking fast travel.
Resources.
Fast travel is a blight. Unless, well, it's not a blight. Sorry, it's necessary in a lot of games, but it's necessary because the act of traversal is just so not fun.
Yeah, kind of like in MMOs. Like you don't want to have to.
Right.
They don't make it interesting enough to have to travel across the whole map. That's
part of the thing with Far Cry 2 is it is so much of that. There is a lot going on because it's a very sandboxy game. But that is like a perfect like first 2 hours game because you get to experience all that while it's still novel. But by the time you're done with Far Cry 2, you are just so fucking done with it.
That's fair.
Something like that where that is an element of it. That is a tentpole element of it, but it's not the whole show. I would love to see that. And then like, you get into these settlements, the cities or hubs, and then you go your classic like Deus Ex murder hobo simulator.
Okay. Interesting. I'm trying to think. This is a tough question.
Mm-hmm.
This one I wish I'd given a little more time to think on. But
I phrased the question poorly.
Well, it's not just that. It's also a really interesting question. I feel like people who are making games are always trying to figure out like new, unique things to do with them. Mm-hmm. I think this would fall in that category. I'm gonna say I think it would be cool to see like a 3D beat 'em up. We don't get a lot of those anymore anyway. Yeah. But like a 3D beat 'em up that's got like a fun, like heavy, like story to it, almost like Deus Ex or like Alan Wake or something, where like you're fighting your way, and then to break up the monotony, like, oh shit, I'm watching like a 15-minute.
Yeah. Ooh, okay.
I think that could be really cool.
Would you say, and I know this is not what you're talking about, would you say a game like Fallen Aces is approaching that ideal?
Fallen Aces is really cool.
Yeah.
I kind of stopped playing it just because it's been in dev so long.
I want to wait for more content, but what I saw, I liked. I would recommend anyone else try it if you need something to play on a weekend, or if you have, like your one computer is like this shitty ThinkPad I have in front of me. Like that's great. That is a great way to play a game on an old computer for a set amount of time.
Yeah, a game like that, I thought it was going to be more like Dusk, where they had the core gameplay done, and when they kept developing it, they were going to be adding chapters like Dusk is, and any new features are mostly being added to the chapters they're going to be adding. But Fallen Aces, like, I beat what they had out, and then, like, the last two updates after that were, like, we redid a ton of mechanics and stuff when I thought they were going to be adding levels, and so I was like, now, I was kind of like, dang, now I want to actually just wait and see what they're actually going to add, because...
Oh, yeah. I think that's a consequence of the type of game it is. That is
small dev team.
Well, small dev team. And it is also an immersive sim. So, that is a very much like one of those games where when you try and unclog the toilet, your microwave blows up. And I think I'm quoting like Mandalore there, but it's that same thing where those games are so based in like in those mechanics and how the world reacts to them that pervades into the level design, into everything more than you would see in a game like Dusk, where
just classic shooter.
Right. It's more about the arena and level design there. I'm sorry about the shuffling, so that was my fault.
That's all right. This is our first episode. We're working the kinks out. But so we got another next question here. Most played game on.
I skipped one.
Yeah.
We skipped the good one.
Yeah. Least favorite game we ever played.
Then we look at the metrics. This is going to be when people stopped. You want me to go first, or?
Yeah, you can go first.
Spec Ops: The Line.
Okay.
Overrated. I don't. Everything people praise it for. has been done for like 15, 20 years before it by other better, more interesting games. Probably most of them we'll cover. Just that, like the moral ambiguity. I think more games should have the Black Angels on their soundtrack, definitely. But like, tell me, like anybody defending Spec Ops: The Line to me, tell me something it did that BioShock didn't like 5 years earlier.
Or even the first Metal Gear Solid has a lot of that like moral ambiguity and am I working for the wrong guys?
Yeah, that
am I really,
because of Metal Gear Solid being very much like I don't want there's a better term for it, but interactive movie.
Yeah.
You can divorce yourself more from the character of Snake
fair.
than you can like an over the shoulder shooter. It seems more like the game is trying to make you feel guilty for you, the player's actions, than Metal Gear Solid feels like that.
That's fair.
There's a guilt tripping element in it, and it's meaningless because you need to commit war crimes to proceed to the end of the game. Whereas a game like BioShock, you can commit crimes against humanity to make the game easier for you. And then at the end of the game, you see the bad ending you get, and you're like, okay, was this worth it? You have to punish. You don't lose anything of substance. You gotta maybe fight a few more things, but it's like that is all you get is a better ending cutscene, and like pragmatically, why would you do that? But at the same time, most of the people playing these games are fucking monsters.
Yeah,
and don't literally eat kids, right?
Yeah. Do you know what another game I think does that really well? Question mark. Some people may disagree. Controversial one, but I think fits. The original Postal. Postal 2 as well is very much like a moral. Like, it will let you sit in a line for a literal half hour to fill out paperwork, or you can just shoot everyone.
Yeah, you can do a pacifist run. It's just
very different.
Yeah, I would like to see a game do something like that, because there is, and that's such a like 90s, early 2000s thing of like, that is like a very like kind of hokey falling down kind of thing where like, oh, modern society is driving me insane. But that would be neat to see in a game. In Postal, it seemed like to me that is a bit. Yeah. That is another joke in the joke book. But that is fair. I don't think Postal is trying to make you feel guilty for anything.
I think the first one is. The first Postal...
I haven't played the first Postal.
The first Postal is insanely dark. I'm going to avoid spoilers, but people have kind of gone back and like looked at like even how some of the... We might do a Postal episode because I think we ought to.
I think we ought to.
But like some of the ways they name different audio files for like the dialogue that you think is one character, and then all of a sudden you're like, oh shit. So... but I get what you're saying. I think what happened with Spec Ops though is that game was really, I would say, overhated when it came out, and so I think it was a game that was worth going back and reassessing. But then people just took it way too far and tried to sell it as this like lost masterpiece.
I think it is just another game trying to capitalize on what was like a very specific moment of Gears of War being the big hit, and then
also the Iraq War and everything going around.
Yes, but like, Rock Against Bush came out in what, like 2004, not 2012.
Yeah.
It has less bite at that point, and it's like it feels like something tacked on to elevate something that is fundamentally mediocre. It's not a bad game, I suppose. It is a functional game. It's just like playing that when it came out. What am I playing here that I didn't play last week?
Yeah. So for my question on this one, I think people are going to get mad. This is based on my personal experience, though. Probably the least fun I have ever had was with Dark Souls, the very first one. I get why people like those games, but my friends like to play it as a drinking game, and I had never played it before. So I was just like, I was already intoxicated, and then having to like keep drinking while playing this incredibly like frustrating game that gives you no hints on what to happen. And all my friends had played it, so they knew what was going on. So it was like I'd watch my friend play this game for like 30 minutes and then lose to a boss and be like, oh man, Hunter's turn. And then Hunter would play for 5 minutes and get taken out by like a beginning enemy. I don't think I ever personally made it past that like first bridge boss. You know what I'm talking about.
I
If you
kind of
played
do.
it.
I've engaged with like a total of maybe 20 minutes of any of these like original Dark Souls games. But I have many friends that don't shut the fuck up about FromSoft, and there is some signposting from what I understand, but it is you have to meet the game on its level, which is sober.
Yeah. I will say I do like some of their PS1 games. I have played like Echo Knight, some of their PS weird horror games.
Oh
Those
yeah,
are
yeah,
really
yeah.
those were really cool. I really like their mech games too. Those are neat.
Yeah,
But
like FromSoft is interesting because you look through their back catalog. It's like that must be like someone playing fucking Dota, looking and be like, "Oh, these are the guys that made Half-Life." Huh.
yeah.
It's like it makes you feel stupid when you look at their back catalog, but they have more to their name. But I still don't think I've played more than like 2 FromSoft games, just incidentally, just because I have the things that have landed on my lap over my life have just been weird.
We could do a frustrating FromSoft month where we only pick like their PS1 titles. All right, so we got some more questions here. Most played game on Steam. I already know mine, and it is TF2. I got a PC, not a Mac, but I had a Mac laptop for school and college and whatnot. And I still saved up and bought a PC specifically so I could play the Orange Box.
Mhm.
And most of that time was spent playing TF2.
I played a fair bit of TF2 once upon a time. And I had the earbuds, and I remembered having them at a time where it was really annoying to have them because people would just mooch to try and trade for you. It's like I'll give you a Steam game. I'll give you a code. I'll give you a cheeseburger tomorrow. Like, fuck off. And eventually I traded them for like a more common item that I actually wanted to have. So no. And the earbuds are like worth nothing now. My most played game on Steam, I don't even know if I should say the hours. I feel like I dox myself. Holy shit, that is way more than I thought. My most played game is Gary's Mod. I don't even have to look at any stats. I know that because I have been part of the niche of Gary's Mod role players since like the late 2000s, like for as long as that's been a thing. So I have an obscene amount of hours in Gary's Mod. I don't have the fuck it, I'll just say it. I have 10,109 and a half hours in Gary's Mod. I don't have the year achievement yet, unless my math is wrong. I feel like there would be more fanfare from Steam if I had gotten that achievement. But I have a lot of hours in Gary's Mod, so I have a lot of Gary's Mod brain poison. You know, I hear the use sound when I open a door.
I have a lot of hours in Gary's Mod too. I didn't so much do the roleplay, but back in the day before like Discord, my friends would almost use it like Discord. Like we would join a server just to hang out and talk.
They're not so much anymore. It's kind of past its heyday, but there are still those like hang out, watch YouTube servers.
Yeah, movie theaters. Those used to be great. We would sit and just watch like weird YouTube videos.
We're at a point now where people are making retro games to recapture Gary's Mod game modes. Have you heard of Aneurysm 4?
No.
There's like I think it's called Industrial Nightmare or something, and it's like a forking off of like I'm oversimplifying it, but it all comes back to Dark RP. These very like goofy, simplistic play to win RP modes, and someone made an entire game off of that. If you like watching streamers be silly, there's streamers being silly playing that game, but it looks fun. I haven't played it, but that's a potential game worth playing.
There are a lot of old Gary's Mod game modes that just like you cannot play anymore. It's like it's a very different game than it was.
It's yeah. There's a lot of scripting that is just not functional now. There's an entire game mode that like Melon Race that is like if I remember right, you can't even load up the maps on any version other than like you go and set the right version in Steam or something. I didn't engage with that much, so I'm probably getting it wrong. Someone with more hours than me is gonna surely correct me, but Yeah, that is what I've sunk an embarrassing amount of my life into is Gary's Mod.
All right, next question. Let's see. Oh, you added a question. Cool. If you were killed tonight, what would be?
You want me to read it? You said you're struggling with reading. If you were killed tonight, what would be your loot table upon dying? What items would you drop if you were murdered?
Oh, you added it as a recording, and I'm looking at my phone, so the script didn't live update for me, so I loaded it
Yeah,
right
sure,
as you were
blame it on
typing that. Literally, look, it cuts off. It just says, "What would be?"
No, I believe you. What be? Okay.
What would be? I was, Okay, so what would be my loot table if I were killed tonight? Let's see. Probably protein bars. One of those little Gatorade bottles, like the kind you give to children.
Okay.
I
like
bought
like soccer games.
Yeah, I bought an
Okay.
obscene amount of those on accident at
Can I have one?
Costco.
Because
Yeah,
I'm
sure.
really thirsty. I see why these podcasters are always shilling like
Water.
and shit. Like this is thirsty work.
I should bleep out that company until they pay us. I see why these guys are always shilling.
And I'm talking about water.
I'm just gonna add you saying water over it. Probably a useless Uline pocket knife and some guitar picks.
Yeah.
Those are things I always find in my pockets.
I would definitely drop like a uncommon variant of like a lower tier pistol, like something engraved, like an engraved Walther PPK or something like that, you know. Something that is not like super rare, but you got to do something. Like I'm gonna put up a fight. I have a gun.
It's like when you get the rare like named variant of a weapon in a game, but it's the starting pistol, so you're like, oh.
No, stats are decent, but the condition level, it's like you do need to take that to an NPC. What else? PDA, definitely. You know, there's gonna be somebody that wants that.
I would definitely have like a journal entry or a file or whatever of the game, but it would just be all bizarre conspiracy ramblings.
Oh yeah, I got another question about that. You think you would die leaving a message on the wall in blood for like press down or press control to duck? Do you think you would be like an environmental storytelling corpse, or are you something that has to be killed in the game?
I think you could get one last really good joke in if you're an environmental storytelling corpse.
Oh yeah.
Even if you still are also like come back as a monster, I think it'd be like, oh, that's a dumb joke.
Speaking
and then
of monster,
it stands up.
Speaking of monster, that is another thing that I'm going to have on me.
Oh yeah,
that is like 100% chance of dropping.
I thought you were more of a Red Bull guy these days.
Red Bull is a treat. Monster is Red Bull is the steak. Monster is the rice.
Okay.
And you know what? Probably just a couple of receipts. McDonald's receipts, maybe. Maybe like a pen. Definitely lint. I'm sorry. I know there's nothing you can craft with lint.
It's good for fires.
Yeah, but that's not going to be until the next build, unfortunately. So if you kill me, you know, in the next couple of years, it's probably not going to be worth your while in terms of lint. But I would hold on to it.
Okay. Also, another controversial one: Cure
Yes.
Smiths.
The Cure, definitely. Well, I'm going to explain that, but I want to hear your answer first, so I know if I'm defending myself here.
I probably would say the Cure just because I like both, but the Cure has way more albums in general, but like I would say the majority of their output I really like. Whereas the Smiths, like they kind of have a shtick they stick with across, and it's good, but like
I think everything like the best that Johnny Marr has done has been for the most part things that aren't the Smiths.
It's really cool. I got to see him live one year because the Smiths were supposed to play Riot Fest, and then Morrissey dropped last minute, so they just had Johnny Marr do a set.
What was the stupid reason he dropped? Did someone bring beef jerky into the show?
One year he refused to play unless all of the cart vendors stopped serving meat during his set. I think they just said no.
Yeah. Very cool. I would say, yeah, the Cure, I think, is just more the Smiths are music that's music for people who are very unhappy, very sad, and there's nothing wrong with that. That I'm generalizing for the bit, and now I feel bad. But the Cure is more cathartic, and I am a sucker for catharsis, so I just like the Cure more. Sorry, I'm looking at the equalizer here. I'm fucking this up for everyone.
No, it's fine. I can fix it in post, probably. We'll see. So, next one, simple. What's your best gamer snack?
You first. I got to think about that a little bit more.
Popcorn. I will say we were just in my office, and judging by the trash can that just folds nothing but empty popcorn bags and the child-sized soccer class Gatorades. I like popcorn because you can eat a bulk amount of it. It's
honestly, giving a genuine health conscious answer, I think peanuts, salted, roasted, whatever, that is a snack that you get sick of eating and you cannot overindulge or it'll start to taste weird. I think that's a good gamer snack. I think if you are a person that eats salted peanuts as your gamer snack, you have very clean controllers.
Oh, that reminds me of the time... it's just a random side story, but we went to our friend Water's house, and our friend got it wasn't dabs, but it was like a different type of extract. And we smoked it for the first time, and we had bought snacks, and we had Doritos and ice cream, and my friend had just got Crysis 2 for 360. He's like, "Here, you can play this." And then we all got too high. I don't remember playing any of Crysis. We were there for like an hour and a half. I was still on the first level. And I kind of came to, and I realized that I was just coated in Doritos dust and ice cream, and his white 360 controller was like orange, and he's like, "Hunter, we gotta go." We gotta go. I was just like, oh man. And then I remember him like slowly realizing the mess that I was, and he was just like, "Let's get you out of here, buddy."
Oh man.
So that's my worst gamer snack moment.
Yeah.
You don't have.
Jeez Louise. You have to answer this next one first, because I don't know you. That's a deeper question than I thought it was.
Okay. So what controversy ends the podcast? Let's see. If it's not me saying that I didn't like Dark Souls, I think I'm gonna die in an unexplainable enough way that everyone we know gets investigated a little bit.
Okay.
That could be 30, 40 years from now, but
well, I feel like are we going to be there's not enough games to be doing this 30, 40 years from now.
They'll still be making more.
Yeah, but there's a delay.
By that age, I won't remember. I'll be able to play Super Mario for the first time.
By that age, we won't own any of those games. Those will be all like you're going to have to pay that with McDonald's Fun Bucks monthly to get access to each thumbstick.
Yeah.
I think the controversy that ends the podcast is you are going to say something charitable about the nation of Sweden. And then, because if you've worked with podcasts, there is a delay, right?
Yeah.
And then in a couple of days, we're going to have complete social upheaval in Sweden, where they start this strange Nordic fascist union and go to war with 5 countries.
It's gonna be like a 90s action movies where all the terrorists are actually incredibly blonde Swedes or Germans,
right?
And there's gonna be a terrorist attack, but people will also have fresh on hand 15 minutes of me just saying Sweden is great, and then 9/11/2 happens
with the cast of Die Hard. Some Swedish instead of German.
Okay.
I think, you know what? I think Swedish terrorism is a much more likely scenario.
Swedish terrorism or my bizarre unexplainable death creates a federal investigation that just kind of puts everyone off the podcast.
Right. Well, and we'd have to bring back
Water
to replace you, and I don't think anyone wants to do that.
Oh no, I might have to edit that out. I should just beep that. I'll just beep that.
Just beep the name.
You just
they'll get it.
Water.
Oh, I figured out how I'm fucking up the mic. It's happening every time I turn to you. Okay, there we go.
Okay, yeah.
I just can't see through this mesh.
We're getting used to it. Next time I can just have you sit on the other side of the table too. That might help.
Mm-mm.
That way we don't have to turn to look at each other.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
I have everything set up.
I am an old-fashioned podcaster. I do like to look people in the eyes. I know your eyes are up here.
All right, so I think we're out of questions. So let's wrap things up and announce our game. So the game we're playing 2 weeks from today, and so you have 2 weeks to play it, is going to be Blood.
Do we want to announce like both games of the theme, or are we staggering that?
I was going to wait. I think it'd be fun.
Okay,
Make
all
it
right.
more exciting. Give them something to wait for.
You want to give them hints?
I
don't even know what I would say.
We already said it's another. I'll say this: we already said it's another boomer shooter.
Yes.
We already said it's one of our favorites. And
I also said you're going to have to learn to read. So you actually have a month to learn to read. But this is a very text heavy for being an action, like a
boomer shooter.
A boomer shooter, very, very grisly for its time. There is a lot of reading involved.
I think that's actually a good hint. That's a pretty good hint.
That is actually a pretty good hint. I'm curious if anyone guesses that.
Yeah. But if you want to play Blood, it was recently remastered, like 2019 recently. But it's recently remastered. You can use Blood Fresh Supply. Yes. I believe the older editions are on the Internet Archive.
With Blood Fresh Supply also, I mean, if you just want to nip it in the bud and make one purchase, Blood Fresh Supply has also added the DOS version.
I saw that.
Yeah. So I believe it is all of the expansion packs, but I'm not 100% sure on that. I'm not as much of a bloodsucker as you are.
I don't know if DOS, I would assume it does because the main game includes everything.
Yeah.
They redid multiplayer, I think, a little bit, but I never really played multiplayer in that one.
I didn't even know that it had multiplayer.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
I wasn't an online gamer until like kind of past the heyday of those games. I think Quake is probably the earliest multiplayer game. But yes, it is. It is, in fact, on Internet Archive. So you can play it on there. You can get the new re-release. It is, if you get off Internet Archive, it is 37 megabytes. So
double check, make sure. You might have to uninstall a game you don't play or haven't played in a while. Like if you haven't started playing Helldivers 2 again, since you may as well delete it and make room for Blood Fresh Supply.
Yeah. So we got social media coming. I decided we will have this will be up on YouTube as well as a lot of podcast outlets. So I think that's a good start. I'll probably make us an Instagram, maybe a Blue Sky, maybe a TikTok.
Yeah. The outro music you are hearing now is The Pretenders, My City Was Gone. Chrissy Hind actually gave us permission to use this song. She said, well, fucking Rush Limbaugh used it, so, I mean, you guys can't be worse than him. Well, you'll see.
Yeah, enjoy. Have a good one. See ya.